My project is on the Kyoto Protocol and Canada's involvement within it. So what is the Kyoto Protocol? The Kyoto Protocol is an agreement made between the UN and Canada and other countries to cut their greenhouse gas emissions by a certain percent by a certain time. The Kyoto Protocol was created in 1997 inside Kyoto, Japan, hence the name Kyoto Protocol. The Kyoto Protocol caused many controversies between environmental organizations and the government. There is a big controversy between environmental support groups and Canada's government. The reason behind this is that Canada vowed to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions by 6% from 1997 to 2012. They vowed to cut 240 megatons of greenhouse gas emissions every year just to reach their goal. The problem is, Canada, as a developing country, could not pull themselves together and stop these emissions from happening. There were too many big companies producing gases such as methane that harmed our environment and started to cause global warming. The public began to realize this and started questioning the government's ability to keep our part of the planet clean. In 2007, John Baird stated that Canada could not possibly reach their goal they had set nearly 10 years ago. Even right now, Canada is still struggling to keep their vows. They are pushing back dates and changing numbers, just prolonging their job. Ever since the start of the Industrial Revolution in 1750, the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and many more industrial activities have led us to being trapped in an inevitable problem. This problem is global warming. Global warming is when we have an extensive amount of greenhouse gas letting too much heat in without letting any out. This causes our planet to slowly warm up. Greenhouse gas is made up of mainly carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. This picture shows exactly what I just explained. As you can see, the sunlight coming in from the sun enters our atmosphere, turns into heat, and is trapped by gases such as CO2 and methane. Every time this takes place, our planet warms up. Compared to most other countries, we're not the biggest environment killers. Although we can harm our planet a significant amount, we're nowhere near emitting as much as China or the United States. We emit 1.6 of the world's greenhouse gases, while bigger countries such as China emit almost a quarter of the world's greenhouse gases. All of this leads me to my main point in question. Knowing Canada didn't complete their agreement in the Kyoto Protocol, did the protocol help Canada reduce their greenhouse gas emissions even slightly? On the screen there will be a timeline of the Kyoto Protocol going year by year explaining what happened in each year. It all started in 1997 when the protocol was created in Kyoto, Japan. Canada signed on and agreed to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 6% by 2012. Fast forward 5 years, Canada agrees to cut 240 megatons of greenhouse gas emissions every year, setting a very high expectation. Another 2 years pass, and Canada changes 240 megatons per year to 270 to make up for all the years they did not complete their goal in. By 2007, everyone is looking at the government and really questioning their ability to complete their goal. Even John Baird admits that it is impossible for Canada to complete their goal by 2012. Instead of leaving it alone, Canada creates the Clean Air Act to appease the people and groups upset with them. The Clean Air Act regulated air pollution for some time before being overshadowed by Canada's second agreement to the Kyoto Protocol. This time, Canada made an even harder goal to reach. In 2009, Canada made a second agreement, stating that they will cut greenhouse gas emissions by 17% by 2020. This means they have to do something almost 3 times as hard in the exact same span as before, when they failed. In 2012, Canadian citizens and groups are both upset with their failure to reduce 6%, but are giving Canada another chance to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 70% by 2020. And finally, in 2015, we are still struggling to reduce gas emissions, but still have 5 years remaining. Some places inside of Canada are much more harmful to our environment than others. As I'm sure you already know, out west is where we produce most of our fuels and energy. Places like Alberta and Saskatchewan have a much higher emission rate than places like Ontario and Quebec. The darker the area on the map is, the more emissions they let off. Backing up the map before, this is a pie graph for what industrial activities produce the most greenhouse gas emissions in Canada. Oil and gas take up 25% of our emissions, which is why places like Alberta and Saskatchewan are big producers of greenhouse gas. Up on the screen there's a graph of what we've been doing and what will probably happen in the next 5 years. It's already been decided. Canada has failed both of their agreements. Greenhouse gas emissions have not been reduced 17% since 2009, and they won't be. The megatons of emissions are on a steady increase with little to no chance of bringing them down. However, has the protocol helped Canada at all? The simplest way of putting this would be to say yes. The Kyoto Protocol has helped Canada. Although they set unrealistic goals, had they not even tried to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, things would be much worse. As you can see on the screen, although it only shows 10 years, it shows that with no governmental help, the megatons emitted would be 65 higher than what we will see if we keep this up. This applies for the whole graph. If Canada did not originally agree to at least try and reduce their emissions, the megatons per year we produce would be much higher, placing us higher than 1.6% of the world's emissions. Overall, the Kyoto Protocol gave Canada and its people recognition of what and still is happening to our environment. Although a failure, I would still argue to say it's helped us.